Happy Monday, everyone. We have a special 2 guests on the show this morning. You are looking at 4 generations of sign carvers in our family.
I'm number 1.
He was the first, second, third, 4 generations of sign carving. This is my son, Ryan. Obviously, my grandson, Eric. And we're going to do a coffee and questions this morning. We're in California on pleasure, but we're going to do a little business too. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and do a coffee and questions right now with mom, grandma, wife, daughter-in-law holding the iPhone right now. So we'll be posting this on Monday, even though it's kind of the weekend right now. So what we're going to do, Eric, if you want to just kind of work your way out, the 3 of us are just going to grab chairs and sit down, and we'll kind of get into this. Yeah, right there. That's fine. You're the guest of honor.
You're the guest of honor. So
right.
You get to sit in the center.
All right. So,
are we all in the picture now?
Yes. The biggest question is going to be, how old are you, Ryan?
32.
And so you've been doing this for like decades now?
About 4 weeks.
Oh, 4 weeks. Oh, okay. So
he's a late starter.
He's a late bloomer.
Well, since we're on it, you want to explain why? Son?
Dad tried to get me to work for him, and I did, and then I wanted to venture out into a real job, so I went to Carl's Jr. And that was the start of my corporate career.
So, Ryan's just gotten into sign carving in the last few weeks, and we're kind of excited about it. He seems to be enjoying it.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out, but I really, really like it. It's fun, it's a stress reliever, and, you know, make a little extra money.
And his wife approves.
Yeah. Not only approves, she's been pushing me to do this for a long time, just like these two. So I finally listened.
I didn't push. I did not push.
It's a rotten trait.
Yeah. So let's see some of the stuff you've done. So here's just a few of your signs.
Yeah.
So the one thing that, again, we got here last night. So the one thing that Dad and I noticed right off the bat, and this is very common, I mean, this is what everybody does, is he's not carving deep enough, in our opinion. You can carve however you want, but in our opinion, Dad's and my opinion, he needs to be carving about twice as deep as what... These things look great. They really do. But my hunch is, and we didn't even talk about this last night, when you sanded these off, you probably had quite a few white spots, right?
I had a lot. They're getting less and less as I go along, but
yeah,
but I'm still getting...
Once you learn to carve deeper, though, that'll most of that will disappear.
Yeah, and so what will happen is you'll be carving deep enough that you won't have near as many white spots, and this background with that 90 degree. I know you use the 90, but you're using just the tip, and you want to use more of the bit, so you're taking out more material, and it just has a better look to it. So, but that's again
more practice.
That's very, very common. So that's not anything critical. It's just that's the stuff that you learn as you go along. So now, did you have any specific questions? Since this is technically coffee and questions with no coffee.
I have a question.
All right.
You should ask your dad why he didn't make you carve signs all those years.
Well, Dad,
I think she wants me to answer that.
No.
No? Oh,
No.
Okay.
Well, my opinion is Dad likes to let me make my own mistakes. It's kind of like you force someone to do something, and then it gets resentful after a while, but, you know, eventually you come around. It's like talking to a wife.
Oh, he's got my wit.
Love you,
Yeah.
baby.
He's got my wit. Yeah.
The wife is back here.
When Eric was 13,
I know
and he learned to carve signs, I never ever asked him to carve signs. It just, he would show up in the shop. He was going to school, had social life. He would show up in the shop and watch me carve signs, and then he'd start wanting to carve signs, and he just worked his way into it. I never asked him, never said, you know, come on, let's do this. It was always at his own pace, and that's the way it should be.
That's so.
Now we got 4 generations that are carving signs.
And we won't push Eric into it. If he wants to do it, he seems to have an enjoyment for it. There were times where Ryan kind of showed a little interest, but just kind of sticking his toes in the water, and it was like, hey, if you want to do it, great. If you don't, that's fine. And I never wanted to push him, but again, that came from the way Dad treated me when I was small. He never pushed me into it. I wanted to do it. Even though I was still playing sports and doing my kid thing, I was still, when I wasn't doing that, I wanted to do it. And because he didn't push me, force me into it, it was something that I craved, that I really wanted to do it more and more. So it was just, everybody has their own timing. And again, we won't push Eric into it. If he wants to do it, great. If he doesn't, then that's fine too. So I just kind of assumed that Ryan was kind of, he has talents. Does things on his own, outside of this, and he's very good at what he does. And that, I just figured that's where it would be. So he just came along a little bit later than I did,
Okay, now back to the questions. What questions you had?
One of the biggest questions I had was how many signs, obviously depends on what you're doing and how big they are, but do the router bits last? Do they stay sharp? Because,
That's a good question. We get that. In fact, I got a couple of emails just last week wanting to know how long the router bit is going to last. So you go ahead and answer that, son.
It depends, number one, it depends, like Ryan says, it depends on what kind of wood you're using. If you're using a lot of hardwoods, and I know some of you guys do, you use cherries and walnuts and, maples and that kind of stuff, your carbide router bits won't last near as long. But let's say, for instance, you're carving either redwood or cedar, which is what these are. The profile bit will be somewhere between 20 and 40 signs, something in that range. Now, one thing that could alter that is this board happens to be, it's bad on the back, but it happens to have some moisture in it. I can feel that it's wetter than this piece of cedar. This weighs about twice as much as this, and it's about the same size because I can feel this has got more moisture in it. More moisture in the board will cause the bit to get a little duller, a little faster. So there are different things that will cause the bit to get duller. Now that's 20 to 40 signs on a profile bit. Now the 60 degree lasts probably twice that long. The 60 seems to stay sharp a lot longer. So the 60 degree will last a lot longer. You probably get 40 or 50 signs out of a 60 degree bit. The 90, gosh, the 90 just seems to go forever. You probably get 60 to 70, maybe 80 signs out of it.
That doesn't mean, though, that the bit is no good, because it can be reground. It can be sharpened, and then it's good for probably 75–80% of what it was when it was new. So it can be sharpened several times.
Yeah, and you guys, you premium members send those in. Are we at, where are we at?
Almost 9.
9 minutes. Okay, so what we're going to do, and just to let you guys know, this is the first video. This is Monday's video, but while we're here, we're also going to fire up the router. We're going to make some sawdust here, and on this